I feel almost like a mailman. What's that phrase? Neither rain nor snow, nor dark of night. I went through all of those things to get here today for the career day at Northern Adirondack Central School in Ellenburg. They say it's a difference between day and night. I don't know if it's elevation or just that they ordered this for career day to show what snowplow operators have to go through, but it was quite a storm here on the 28th day of October on our way to Ellenburg from Morrisonville and Plattsburgh today, and I'm sure Calvin saw a couple of flakes on the way. Speaking about a couple of flakes, Calvin Castine and myself are here today for career day, and we're enjoying ourselves so far. We feel like little kids going from station to station finding out what's going on. Who are you?
My name is Christine Brudvig. I'm the elementary school counselor here, and I'm also one of the career fair committee organizers.
It's not easy to set it up, is it?
No, it takes a long time, a lot of hard work. We have a very wonderful committee of people who are very dedicated and work very hard.
And a guy who's known affectionately as Mr. Bassett. How are you this morning?
Very good, Gordy. Very good. It's good to have you here. Thank you for coming.
I've never been here for a career day before, although I have visited quite a few of the schools in Clinton County. Wow, this is exciting.
And you've only just begun.
Only just begun, that's right. How many presenters do you have today?
Chris, I'm not sure how many.
We have about 20 presenters altogether. We have some that are in groups, but individuals we have about 20. And about 16 tables set up around the area throughout the school.
Eventually we're going to get a really good close-up picture of Mr. Bassett's tie. Calvin's looking around the room now, and as we see a great number of people that we know in the North Country who are presenters in their own fields and are here today, but this tie is really special.
Yes, this is my career day tie. I'm very pleased, very proud to wear this as I walk around the building. Kind of reminds me that we have lots of options for youngsters today to be a judge and a lawyer and a policewoman, a nurse and a fireman, and all kinds of possibilities. And that's what the day is about, Gordy. We want children to begin to think about what they might want to be from the time they're born. It would be nice. It would be wonderful, I guess, to have that kind of vision. But certainly from our kindergarten class right through our 5th grade, they're exposed to a variety of careers. They meet with people that are performing a variety of services in our community, including people like yourselves, and it makes them begin to think. And it excites them and it motivates them, and they learn about these careers. So it's pretty amazing. And I guess the other amazing thing for me with this tie is, as I look at it, I'm still trying to figure out which one of these I'm going to be when I grow up. But
he stole my line, Calvin. He stole my line. As I walked in to sign in here today at the other door, I said, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But that's the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. And we'd all say in the North Country, Gordy, the things you have been a job done to perfection. So keep moving forward, and you're leaving a nice trail.
You're so kind to say that. And you know, Chris, when I was preparing my mind to come down here today, driving through the storm, I just, as I drank my 3rd, 4th, and 5th cups of coffee to get tuned up, I jotted down the things I've wanted to be and the things I have done during my lifetime. And it was a very strange and multifarious list of all the things that you wanted to be from the time I was a small child and saw firemen and policemen and thought that would be a great thing to do, to wanting to be a minister because my dad was a Methodist minister for all those years, to engineering, to a children's book illustrator, to radio and television personality, and you name it. And you know, a lot of us go through life and frustrating and sometimes mundane careers until we step back and see what contribution we've made. And there's always a way to make a contribution, isn't there?
Oh, I believe that strongly, and I think it's really important for people to take a look at what they're doing and to find value in what they're doing, because a career path is not just a job, but it's looking at the total person. It's looking at being happy with yourself, finding things about yourself that you like to do. One of the things I talk with children about is that when you are choosing a job or heading in a certain career path, that you need to think about something that you really like, because you're going to be spending a great deal of time doing that. And it's very sad if someone is caught up into doing something they really don't enjoy doing.
You know, one of my favorite words is passion. People who watch this program across northern New York are very familiar with that word. I use it all the time. Two of my favorite words are perspective and passion. And if you can get the right perspective, as Chris just mentioned, about how you fit into the scheme of things, and if you don't have a passion going in, if you can develop a passion for something while you're doing it, the days go quicker and things are better all the way around.
I think so, Gordy. And the other side to that is if you can't develop the passion, you need to listen to what your body's telling you and keep your options open. Too many times people feel they don't have options, and we do. We're in an opportunity, a situation here that we have opportunities unlike many other areas, unlike many other countries, that there are resources and we need to take advantage of them to do as yourself. Test out all those careers and develop that empathy for lots of folks.
And I'll tell you, there's one little gap in this Uncle Wiggily-like road that I've taken throughout my career and my lifetime, and that one little gap is the teaching profession. I've been right on the edge of it about 25 times. It's got an application. But but you know, I came very close to getting an education degree and came very close to getting into teaching, and I so thoroughly enjoy being in an educational setting like this on any level, right up to the college level, that sometime I'll find a little niche and maybe teach a course somewhere, and then I will be completely fulfilled. This teaching profession is such an honorable profession.
Well, thank you. We really enjoy what we're doing. I think I'd like to add too that while you're talking about teaching profession, we have several goals of our career fair this year, and one of the goals is we started a new reading series this year, and at each grade level there are particular mentors or jobs that are being targeted, and what we did is we obtained as many as we could presenters in those areas so that we could also reinforce across the curriculum learning. The second thing that we did is we're really focusing very strongly on our New York State career development and occupational studies standards. And we have developed activities that go along with the standards. We have educated our faculty in what those standards are and how to achieve those standards. We're hopefully moving forward all the time and improving what we're doing and offering to the students.
You know, I don't remember as a youngster, either in grade school or in elementary school or high school, ever having a career day. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for kids to see what's going on, and you guys do it every year.
Yeah, we do, Gordy, and as Chris was mentioning, the state's perspective on developing attitudes toward careers, and a standard for that was written last year. I note again that this is our 5th year of this program at Northern Adirondack that we've formally done. So I think we've been right out there on the cutting edge. We're not only on the edge of the weather sometimes, but I think there are a lot of powerful things that happen in this school. And it's ladies like this one right here who would never say too much about it, but you know, we could not pay a group of people, we could not whip a group of people to cause them to do the things that Chris Bridvig and her team have done. They've worked beyond the hours of their instruction to develop their quality instruction in their classes, late meetings, early meetings, weekend meetings, to coordinate something that's pretty powerful, that involves over 600 children, over 50 faculty, the community, and so on. And our guidance counselor, Chris Bridvig, is the pulse behind that. And we're real proud of her. So I just wanted to make sure and go on record to say that, and we're very pleased with the program.
It's a great opportunity for us to meet these people. You have picked a classic group of presenters today.
Well, thank you. We have a wonderful career committee, and certainly I could not have done this alone. It's certainly a shared success. And I also feel that not only is it the career committee that's has backed us, but the students, the faculty, administration, and without that, something like this is very hard to make it be successful if you don't get people buying into what you're trying to do. And we've had tremendous success and tremendous support from everyone, and people like yourselves who have come and have taken your time to give us coverage, to show the North Country things that we're doing here at NAC, so we really appreciate that.
This is always an enriching experience for me, but every day is, you know, when I feel healthy and my feet hit the floor, I'm ready to run somewhere on any given day and try something new, and this is a great opportunity. People might say Northern Adirondack, tucked away in that little corner of Clinton County, socked in by weather. I don't know how many months of the year, but you have found a way to make your presence known throughout the North Country, and I am very impressed.
Thank you, Gordy. It is more than soccer teams in Buffalo, isn't it?
We saw that big sign coming down here, roaming buffalo. I'll tell you what, next it'll be hippopotami.
I don't know. Well, if so, that's a good sign because that means the climate's changing a little, so we'll take it. We'll go with it.
Well, congratulations. We can't wait to make the various stations and make a nice Our Little Corner program of this today. Again, thank you for inviting us here, both of you.
Well, thank you for being here today.
Yes, thank you very much, and don't forget lunch. It's going to be spectacular, like the program.
If you know me very well, you know I never forget lunch. We'll continue our little corner program from the Northern Adirondack Central School in just a minute. Well, this young lady is the focus of what a career day is all about at Northern Adirondack Central School. What's your name?
Kristen.
Kristen what?
Kristen Watts.
Kristen Watts?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm pleased to have you here today. What have you got in your hand?
I got a microphone and I got a report.
Oh, a microphone and a report, so she's just like me. Would you like to read your report for me?
Okay. I am reporting from Northern Adirondack Central School. Today I am covering the 1997 Annual Career Fair. There are many people participating in this great event. If you get a chance, stop by and see all the great opportunities from making pizza to being a volunteer fireperson. This is Kristen Watts signing off for KBW News. Have a great day.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're a terrific reporter. You got the t-shirt that says KBW News, and it says, I want to be a what?
I want to be a
news
reporter.
Reporter. Wow, that's exciting. With freckles like that, you can't go wrong, you know. And who made the microphone for you?
My mom.
She did a terrific job. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it's made out of. But boy, I'll tell you, you're broadcasting loud and clear on it today. That's great. Who is your favorite news reporter?
I like the weather. Tom Messner.
She likes Tom Messner and the weather. Right? That's a kind of news, isn't it? And they have, you know what they call that profession when you do the weather? What do they call that? Do you know? A meteorologist. Calvin and I practiced that all morning. We got it down bad. A meteorologist. Those are the people that predict what's going on outside as we're recording this program, which is snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
9.
And you're in what grade here?
3rd.
And who's your favorite teacher?
Mrs. Realma.
See, put her right on the spot, but she had the answers. Well, good luck to you and have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you, Kristen. Bye-bye. Well, let's walk over to another station and find out what architecture's all about. Steve Kucher, CV Tech, how are you doing?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm doing fine and dandy. What kind of a presentation have you got here today?
Well, what we've tried to set up is the basic elements of architecture for the kids. We've got the drafting boards, we've got models, we've got both wooden models and foam models. Plus we have the finished product right over there. So hopefully the kids can see from the very beginning, when they come to us with the idea, we put the idea on the board for them, and then if need be, we'll do a model so they can see exactly what their house is going to look like, and then hopefully when it gets built, it looks somewhat like the model.
Steve, give me a little bit of your own background.
I attended Canton ATC for 2 years. I got a degree in construction engineering from Canton, and then I went to Utica College of Syracuse University, and I obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in construction management. And for the past 8 years, I've been working for a local architect and engineer. And I've worked long enough, and my education is such that I can now take the professional engineering exam, and that's one of my next steps.
How far down the road is that?
Hopefully in April or next October.
Oh, wow. You'll be burning a little midnight oil in preparation of that?
Be burning a lot of midnight oil.
Must be a very tough exam.
It is a tough exam, but the benefits really outweigh the amount of work that goes into it. For me, what I intend to do is take that professional engineering licensure and use it for educating kids. It'll put more of a prestige behind the degrees offered at CV Tech.
Do you teach day courses, night courses there, or what?
Currently, we're just teaching night courses, but we do hope to be able to offer, we're teaching day courses, and hopefully we'll be able to offer night courses within the next, probably starting in March.
Tell me a little bit about the field. Is it kind of a wide open field? Are they still looking for qualified people, or what chances would a young person have in getting into that field?
That's kind of, the biggest thing in the field right now is the proper education. What young people need to do is get their math, their science, and their reading background such that they can go into any portion of this field. Because architecture doesn't only involve drawing, it involves calculating out angles, distances, degrees, scaling, using a variety of tools, and using computers. Computers are becoming a major part of architecture today. AutoCAD now is replacing the boards. You can draw a house on a computer, and it looks something like that over there. That's what a floor plan looks like. So you're not dealing with smudging anymore, you're not dealing with erasing, you just push a button, and there you have it.
It's a far cry from the days when I went to Clarkson and thought I might want to get into drafting and designing, and slide rules and all the equipment we used back in those days are pretty much passé.
Definitely. Calculators are a big thing today. Transits and theodolites, this is another element that's extremely important in architecture, engineering, and in surveying. Not only a surveyor uses this, but an engineer and architect should know how to use these instruments. Number one, for laying out buildings. Number two, for gathering information on the sites where you may put the building before you even design it. There's certain information that you must know before you even start a project, and that's where these come in.
And for the people that come to see you at CV Tech, do they get hands-on experience?
They get hands-on experience. What we've done so far this year is my students, who consist right now of juniors and seniors with one adult, what we do is in the beginning, we teach the surveying. We go out, we pick a site, they survey it, they bring it back into the classroom, and they plot out their survey. From that information, we have gathered a planimetrical and a topographical map. From that map, we go on and we develop a building concept for that lot. So the kids take it from the ground with the surveying, they move into the building design with the architecture, and then the engineering that goes along with it, such as stormwater management, sanitary sewer, water, electrical, telephone, access, you name it, we try to look at it. So when these kids leave CV Tech, and my hopes is that they could go out and work in the industry or go on to obtain further education and be well prepared to do that.
Sounds like you love the field.
Like it a lot.
You let me know after April.
Well, after 2 months, I still like it, so hopefully it keeps going.
Terrific. Steve, thanks so much for having us here today.
Well, thank you.
Steve Kuchar, CV Tech, who has great plans here in the North Country. You know, I just found out from Steve Kuchar, whom we were speaking with after we finished our formal interview on television, and I learned that they are actually dedicating this career day at Northern Adirondack Central School to the late Bob Venn, who originated this program, and it was called What's Going On Here, to the tune of some 500 episodes. I think that's terrific in light of the fact that Calvin and Bob Venn came here to this career day at NAC at least twice that we know about. He's given me the sign over there, Calvin. Thank you very much. And we got to talk about agriculture here. Who do we have? Who are you?
Eric Glode.
Julia Tlaski. Christy Weldon.
And what are you doing here today?
Telling kids about agriculture and careers in agriculture.
Now is this a club that you're in? Or?
Yeah, we're in the FFA. It's an organization that deals with agriculture, but not completely. It's got a lot to do with leadership, which is actually why I joined it. And it kind of makes, even if you don't think you're interested in agriculture, it makes you interested in it through all the things, the contests that you get involved in.
You got my attention. We've learned a lot about the FFA from covering the fairs here in the North Country, and we've talked to a lot of people there. Have you been to the fairs?
Yes,
we've been to the fairs. Last year we worked in the snack bar, but we just kind of help out with setting up, organizing it, and forming the committees for it.
So tell me what kind of a presentation you're making here today. First of all, Calvin can't see it, but you broke the bag of dirt back here. How did that happen?
We had to put it in the microwave to like cool it, dry down the dirt, and the bag kind of got a little moist and it ripped.
I see so many things here I don't understand. What's this for?
Thumbtacks for our board.
I thought it was some kind of new food that you grew here, especially in the Ellenberg area. All right, what are you talking to kids about today?
We want to let them know that agriculture isn't just farming, because most students, actually not so much anymore, but the past couple of years, we've been coming for 3 years now. The past years, they've always thought, the first words out of their mouth when we ask them what agriculture is oh, I know, it's farming. And we want them to know that it's not just farming, and there's so much more to agriculture than that.
Well, did you go to school here? Obviously.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the items you have on the table here.
Well, we set up different careers that the kids wouldn't expect to be involving agriculture necessarily, such as biotechnology, where the biotechnologists work in the lab instead of working on a farm a lot. Some of them may never even see a farm, they never visit a farm. And it's kind of interesting to see the kids like, wow, that has to do with agriculture. I thought it was just all farming. And we just explain to them the different careers and what's involved, and try to give them some information, like what kind of classes or types of things they have to do in school to prepare for it.
Are all of you planning to go into this field, or what are your feelings right now?
I'm going to become a veterinarian.
That's certainly a connected field.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to work with Doc Evans this summer or something like that.
If you don't mind a testimonial, I might say he's a pretty super guy.
Yeah, he's a good vet.
Very, very beloved person in this North Country, and we've seen him involved in so many projects that benefit people and animals.
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. Any idea where you might want to go to school?
Canton or Delhi.
Man, this guy's got a plan. Where are you in school now? What grade?
A junior.
Oh, it's time to start looking around.
Oh,
then,
yeah.
Huh? Have you been brought up on a farm? Or?
Yeah, Glades Riverview Farm right over near the church. It's my dad. So, yeah, I've been around farm for a long time.
Oh, those are great aspirations. How about you?
Well, I used to know exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor, but I don't know anymore because I've been in the FFA so long. I'm thinking, well, I've got to give something back because it's given me so much. So I started working on the farm with him, actually, and he's taught me what to do, and I may be a little bit of a pain in his side sometimes. But I really have no clue what I want to do exactly, but I think I want to do something with medicine.
Gee, that's great, but keep your options open. As Principal Bernie told us a while ago, keep those options open. Who knows? These days, people can engage in 2 or 3 or 4 different careers in the course of a lifetime. How about you?
Well, a couple years ago, I knew for sure I wanted to be a veterinarian, but as people have said, I should keep my options open, and I've started to switch around a lot, and I really don't know what I want to do anymore. But I know whatever it is, I'm going to have gotten a great deal of help from the FFA and learning how to work with people, but I still kind of undecided.
We brought a few books and things for people to look at today for different fields, right?
Yeah. We got the farming and agriculture careers. We got some DHI papers and cattle judging books. And
look out, she's got the gavel there.
We got a soil test kit. For soil conservationists and test for acidity and phosphorus and potassium and calcium and stuff in the soil. And
you're pretty good, you know. You're helping them with every word.
We're pretty much stumbling through the soil test because we got here this morning and we realized, oh, we broke the bag of soil, so we've been kind of having a problem with it since the beginning of the day.
We learned how to do it, and we learned how to do the soil testing. A class that we took last year, we didn't do it this year, so we're still kind of trying to draw back from memory and trying to go by the books some trying to remember it so we can get the colors to change.
I want to know if you actually put that ace bandage on that dog over there. Oh, you did it?
I did, yeah.
I think you choked him to death. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, I wanted to have something here to show them, what a veterinarian, in case, some like kindergartners don't really know or haven't really heard of one, so they can kind of get an idea just by looking at it what a veterinarian might do. And we've got it set up so that way all sorts of age levels from kindergarten through 5th grade can understand what we're talking about without having them really confused.
That's terrific. And when you all get finished with the day, maybe you all want to become teachers. You never know.
Yeah.
It'd make our ag teacher proud.
Yeah.
I bet you it would. Well, thank you all for having us here and for being here today. You're all great representatives of this community.
Thank you. It's no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Stanley Hatch, pediatric eye doctor. We haven't seen you for a little while. Let me see. I was trying to remember, maybe at the Clinton County
Health Fair last
Health
spring.
Fair.
That's right. Yep.
Boy, they put the kids through there, didn't they?
Yeah, we saw a lot of kids. That was a good day.
That's
It was.
terrific. So tell me about what's going on here today.
Well, today's the career fair, and some of the teachers were nice enough to invite me up today, so I, was able to take some time off and get up here. And so now the kids come through, and we just kind of show them about what it's like to be an eye doctor, and try to say, well, gee, what do you need to be an eye doctor? Well, you need to know your math, you need to know your reading, you need to stay in school. I mean, those are the big things. So if I can help, that's great.
That's what you call boiling it down to the bottom line. Know your math, know your reading, and stay in school. That's a good way to start. I've done it before, but I'm going to do it again and ask you a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you ended up here.
Okay, well, my first experience with the North Country was my undergraduate work at St. Lawrence University, and I did my bachelor's there in biology, and got a good feel for the North Country. And after doing my doctorate training and in Michigan and residency in Philadelphia, I taught in Boston for a while, but when I had an opportunity to join Dr. Dahlen's practice back in the North Country, I was like, that sounds pretty good to me.
And that's a very active practice too.
It's very nice. We're glad that we can help the community.
So what do you talk to kids about today? How do you inspire the kids that come to talk to you?
Well, all I really do is try to just say, what did you do in school today, and do you think any of that will have any relevance in the rest of your life? And so one thing I do is I hold up an eyeglass prescription, and I show them it's got numbers all over, and I say, do you think you're going to need to know math when to be an eye doctor? And obviously you do, or they get the wrong glasses. I mean, and basically I show them some things. I've got some pamphlets from the National Eye Institute here that are geared towards elementary school education that the government's put out. I kind of just show them some of the tests I do during the day, and show them the difference between examining an infant versus examining a toddler versus examining an elementary school child like themselves. And I don't know, they mostly just like to crowd around and get the exposure, and that's fine. I mean, the big thing is, do they remember something about the day, and that's great.
It dawns on me that your field is very interesting. It must not be too easy sometimes to determine the needs of very small children when it comes to eye care.
Well, the very small children are actually the easier ones. It's the 2-year-olds that are the tough ones. I could see 6- and 9-month-old infants all day and be a very happy guy when I get home. After about the 5th 2-year-old, I'm ready to pull my hair out. But that's part of the job.
Terrible twos.
Yeah, it's true. It's real. So, but we have ways. We really do.
Oh, we have ways. Well, it's almost impossible to actually interview a very small child, so you have to rely on other kinds of testing.
That's true. Basically, most of our tests are behaviorally based, where we're able to evaluate either objectively or through microscopes the actual eye tracking movements based on different stimuli that are presented to them. Measuring a glasses prescription is quite easy to do. We have several methods that we can do with that, where we don't have to actually ask the patient what they are able or unable to see. Obviously, many of these things work well for people with developmental disabilities too, mental retardation or other special needs where they can't talk or communicate as well as they can. And as I said, the cooperation does help, but we usually get through it one way or the other.
Cooperation from the schools, I imagine, is important too, and the school nurse and the various other programs in schools such as Northern Adirondack have to understand the process and make certain referrals, I imagine.
Sure. A school vision screening, usually provided by the nurse, is a good start, and it'll detect probably about half the problems that a kid could have. Many parents, of course, misunderstand that they've had an actual eye exam. I'm sure the nurse would be the first one to tell you that it's a screening, it's not an eye exam. It helps detect many things. And by and large, the nurses here in the North Country have been very good about referring kids. And as a matter of fact, if I don't get my report out within about 2 days of seeing the child, I usually get a phone call from the school nurse. So I say, well, I'll get to it.
Well, they're screening, and then there's the eye exam, and there are different levels to that exam for both children and adults.
Absolutely. Different levels to the exam, different needs for different individuals. Obviously, children with learning difficulties will get different evaluations than children that are mainly referred for medical reasons. And then also, of course, there's the follow-up and trying to make sure that the treatments do get put in as best as they can for the child.
And I imagine you'd like to instill in parents and in their children the importance of having regular examinations.
Well, I would. Anytime I get a chance for some public health promotion, I do. The American Optometric Association recommends that every child deserves an eye exam. The first one's usually recommended between 6 and 9 months of age, believe it or not. The next one usually around 2.5 years of age. The next one about kindergarten, and then every 1 or 2 years later, depending on the results of those first couple exams.
Are there certain subtle things that can happen even in youngsters that a parent or a teacher might not recognize? Is that why we ask them to have these regular examinations?
Yes, about half of all the conditions that may have some effect on either development or visual efficiency are really difficult even for a pediatrician to detect.
Doctor, thank you so much for inviting us over here today. Best of luck in everything you do.
Thanks again, Gordy.
Yeah, I know all the right words, cool and awesome and NAC rules. I learned that since I got here today. We're at a very special table here today, but I don't see any dinosaur stamps.
Oh, we forgot the dinosaurs, but we're promoting Monster Stamps.
Well, that's even better.
Monster Stamps is our new issue for the fall season, and we have Christmas coming up, so we have a new t-shirt that's coming out with last year's Christmas stamp on, and we have Frosty the Snowman videos.
Unbelievable. You're Diane LeBombard, I can tell by your little sign on
Yes,
the front,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And you're the postmistress, or do you say
Postmaster.
You still say postmaster,
Yes,
and
we
we
do.
got to get this politically correct here.
It's Postmaster.
And the first thing you did when I stood behind this table is mention the name of my very good friend, State Trooper Billy Bush, who works in the same building as you do.
Absolutely. Yes, he definitely does.
Such a great guy covering this, and he'd give me my daily weather reports all winter.
yes.
When I called him for the news, he'd tell me what the weather was like, and people couldn't believe it. What are you doing here today, Diane?
Well, we're here explaining to the students what kind of a career they could have with the Postal Service and what subjects they should concentrate on for different products, different ways that we work for the Postal Service. We're really stressing that they study computers. Computers are the upcoming thing. A lot of the things that we did was hand done. Now it's done by machines. So a lot of the things are using computers.
And a lot of the rural post offices here in the North Country have closed and consolidated over the years, but yours is still going strong.
Absolutely. We do everything we can to sell our products to keep this little community alive. I think once a small post office closes, the little town loses identity.
I've always felt that way. That's why I wasn't very happy when they closed the little post office in a home. I think it was in the Banker home out there in Peasleyville shortly after I moved to the North Country. That was about as charming as a North Country post office could be.
I know, it's sad to see that. People don't realize that it's necessary in a small community. In a lot of the small communities, it's like the gathering place.
It certainly is. When did the post office begin selling all these other things besides stamps and money orders?
Well, we started selling probably in the last 2 years. And I think it's been good, especially for the rural areas, because you may have forgotten to mail a card to your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, but we now have cards, an instant gift with all the packaging products that wrap it up and send it off. So no excuse to be delayed on a gift or a card, because we have it available for you.
People rely on the post office for all manner of things that aren't necessarily connected with the mail systems. I bet you've had some rather bizarre questions thrown at you over the years standing behind that counter, haven't you?
Absolutely. I think one of the funniest things is when somebody comes in and asks if they can have a book of matches instead of a book of stamps.
Yeah, but that's 32 cents a piece.
Yeah, that's right. I could make lots of money selling those.
I love it. Who have we got over here? I want to meet a couple of the other people here.
Well, this is Margaret Snide. She's the postmaster in Ellenburg Center. And this is Gail Torville. She's the postmaster in Ellenburg Depot. So we're all here representing Ellenburg.
Yeah, well, half of this team is talking with the kids right now. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Glad to have you here today. Have you been involved in one of these career days before?
No, I haven't.
This is the first.
Yes. The post office has been here for 5 years, so this is my first.
Is it really? I imagine you like your job. Have you lived there all your life? Or?
I grew up in Ellenburg Center, and I moved out. Well, I live in Morris Forks, but come back to my hometown to...
Well, you know, you talk about careers, and most of these kids have no idea what they want to be when they grow up. Here I am, 60 years old, and I still haven't decided what I want to be. When did you decide that you wanted to get into this business? At what point in your life?
Well, how I started, there was an opening in my hometown. I live in Morris Forks, and it was only part-time. My kids were young, and at the time it just worked out. You know, working part-time in my hometown, and then I went on to full-time after the kids got older.
But is this your first career, or did you work at other jobs before?
No, I worked at the motor vehicle before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And then made the transition into the post office.
Yeah, from there.
It's changed a lot over the years, hasn't it?
Post office? Yes. Yeah. Yes, more work was done manually, and especially in the last 5 to 10 years, they've been more automated.
Even the rural offices are more automated.
Yes. Everything's done by barcode.
Oh, barcodes, boy, we're familiar with barcodes from the grocery stores.
Yes.
But it helps to make it more efficient.
Yes. The machines do the work about 10 times faster than a person. And
I don't think a lot of our viewers in the North Country are aware of just how busy little post offices like yours can be at certain times of the year.
Oh yes, the holidays, Christmas time, April 1st, get the taxes out.
You had to bring that up, right?
Yes.
That can be a very busy place. How many people do you have in your department?
My post office?
Yeah.
Deliveries? There's about 400 deliveries between the box section and the route. I have a small office.
And how many people work in your office?
It's just a carrier and a clerk.
I've often wondered, I hear people talk about a pony route. What does that mean in the post office? Does that mean a pony? I've heard them say they have a pony route. I don't know if that means just a part-time rural carrier, maybe. In some.
First time I heard that term.
Well, we're going to leave Calvin to look that up in his Funk and Wagnall after we leave here today. Good luck with your career and with your career day.
Thank you.
And our other presenter is very busy with the kids back there, so we'll let her do her thing and invite all of our North Country people to check in with the career days at their schools when your kids come home to talk about those career days, find out what they've learned. I feel as though we need a traffic director. Calvin and I make a mad rush for one of the booths here at Northern Adirondack, and then somebody like Rick Bruce hollers incoming, and 2,300 small youngsters beat us there, and so we have to wait until the presentation is finished. Your booth is the empty one. Wanda, how are you?
Very well.
What's your last name?
Emmerich.
Emmerich, and what are you doing here?
I work at Minor Institute, and I'm the Dairy Outreach Coordinator. And Karen Lassell and myself are talking about different careers that you can do with animals.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Terrific. Give me a little bit of both of your background. Where'd you go to school and where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Arlington, Vermont, and went to college at the University of Vermont, and then came to Minor Institute for the summer program, and continued on to get a master's degree in extension education.
Wow, I'm tremendously impressed. How about you?
I went to high school in Massachusetts, grew up there, went to the University of New Hampshire and got a bachelor's degree in animal science, and did the same summer program that Wanda did with the horses, and came to work there after I graduated from college, and I'm now working on my master's degree in extension education like Wanda.
And how far along are you in that process?
90% of the way done.
Oh gosh, it's almost time to celebrate.
That last 10% is a long 10%, but it's on its way.
It's not an easy field, but it's well worth it, aren't there? Many rewards, aren't there?
Yes, we enjoy getting information out to people in agriculture so that they can do more with what they have.
You know, the name miner is a very familiar name to young people and older people here in the North Country, but since it's tucked away up in that little corner in Chazy and doesn't have buffalo anymore, a lot of people just don't think to take a ride up there, but there's a lot going on in Miners every day.
We're involved a lot more in research projects. We're less of a zoo type presentation and more of a professional research facility. We have several different projects going on that we're involved in both at our farm and in cooperating farms in the area. And we also attract a lot of people from agricultural industries to come to the area to work with us on different projects.
Yeah, I should have said Miners is very well known outside this area as well.
Yes, it is, actually. And with the horse program as well, we've been showing quite a bit at local and regional shows. And the horses are much more like a commercial farm than it was a couple of years ago. We take in horses for training from area residents. We teach riding lessons and driving lessons and do a lot of educational programs for adults and youth.
How many horses do you have?
Miner currently owns 12 horses. We've got some leased horses as well, and a few that belong to me and my boss Katie as well that are used extensively in the program. But in the summer we expand the herd by taking horses in for training. So we usually take anywhere from 3 to 5 horses of local owners in to train to ride or drive for them.
I've never talked to anybody who's had any even cursory contact with horses who didn't think they were just about the finest animal next to mankind.
Oh, well, I can't do anything but agree with you. So I love my job. I'm really fortunate to get to work with horses.
Did you have contact with horses even as a young child? Did you own horses?
I lived in a very suburban area. I took riding lessons at a local boarding stable, and it just kind of took off from there. Little did my parents know what they were getting into. So.
I think that kind of contact is good for people anyway. You know, I used to ride a lot when I first came up here, but haven't in many years. But I've always wanted to own a horse. Maybe I'll live long enough.
There you go, or drive them. Then you can go out, you and your wife can go out for a drive in the country. It's a wonderful way for 2 people to enjoy one horse.
Well, that's a great thing, and I through pure serendipity, I got involved with announcing some of the competitions over the summer with the Morgan horses in the 4-H group during the fair. And boy, did I get a very fast education. Somebody said, that's where you turn the microphone on, and that's as far as I got. So I learned all the hand signals very quickly. But it's a lot of fun. Now tell me what your field of expertise is.
I work with dairy cattle, and I'm also the dairy extension person in this county, and work with dairy farmers in educational programs, in nutrition, and mastitis control, and all the different aspects of dairy farming.
You work closely with Cornell then?
We work closely with Cornell and the University of Vermont, and we kind of don't have any borders, so we keep everybody, bring in the experts from wherever they come.
You know, we've talked about it in this program many times. I don't know where these borders came from in the first place, but we're doing our best to break them down, aren't we?
Yes, we are, and we have programs that we put on that attract about 1/3 of the audience comes from Vermont, about 1/3 comes from Quebec, and about 1/3 from the local area.
When we talk about dairy farming, I always bring my little portable soapbox because we cover the North Country fairs. And we've talked to farmers and grown up on farms and enjoyed finding out more about the profession for years, but now it makes me tremendously sad to see what many of our North Country family farms are going through, and what makes me even sadder is to see them going up in that auction block.
Times are changing with the dairy industry, and people are having to get bigger in order to compete, because the milk price has been about the same level for about 25 years, and there's a lot of other things are a lot more expensive than they were 25 years ago, with insurances, gas, equipment, and all those parts of the farm. So we have to expand and spread the costs out over more animals and increase the productivity of those animals that we have. And we hope that the farmers in the area can use all the technology that's available to them in order to get the most production possible.
You wanted to say something?
Well, I was going to say, at the same time that you see the small family farm is going, there's still people that are very interested in agriculture, and as the industry becomes more technical and very specialized, you need more support people. So a lot of the people that are on the farms that are going out of business might go into machinery dealing, or their kids might go to college to be nutritionists. So the industry isn't necessarily shrinking, it's just changing shape, and it looks different from the road, but there's still quite a bit of agricultural education and careers available.
The field of agriculture mirrors many of the other fields, and you can read in journals and magazines and newspapers about the changing dissemination of health care, for example, and so many other fields are going through this metamorphosis, and sometimes change is painful, but it behooves North Country farmers to get up early in the morning, take a few extra courses, look for those support groups, and find out how they can do their job more efficiently and make ends meet.
The technology that's currently available for farmers takes time to become both a businessman, a nutritionist, a veterinarian, a plumber, all the careers that a farmer has to have in order to be successful. And it takes a lot of expertise, time spent going to meetings and learning about what's out there. And we need some of the things we can take advantage of, the size and scale. It's a lot more economical if you can buy a whole tractor trailer load of feed rather than 2 tons at a time.
Terrific. Ladies, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Good luck with that master's program.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to thank you.
Thank you very much.
For you.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to get this on tape here. Oh, yes. Here we go. And he started a speech even before Calvin could hit the on button. What have we got here, Bert?
Well, what we have here for you, Gordy, is the coveted Northern Adirondack Bobcat gold embossed opaque green coffee hot cold beverage mug.
I love it.
And all of my old friends down in the NAC system, and I know you're close to that school. I taught in the Morrisonville school for a while before I came here. Anytime you go in that building, especially Morrisonville Elementary, we want you to bring this in and flaunt it.
You know that I will, and people who know me know that in all my years in the radio business, I average 30 cups of coffee a day. Ooh. Calvin's got me cut down to about 15 because he keeps me moving so fast. I spill too much coffee on myself. But if I don't have a coffee cup, I'm at a loss, and that is a beauty.
Well, this is one for your collection, Gordy, and we just want to give this to you as a little token of our appreciation and to remember us.
I want you to know we're having a great time here today. What a beautiful bunch of kids and what a great group of presenters.
I'm lucky, aren't I?
Oh my goodness. I never asked you when we started today what directions your career has taken. Where did you go to school and how did you end up in Ellenburg?
You turn left at the old Key Bank. And
we're going to get it.
I'm from West Plattsburgh and have lived there for quite some time. I taught in the Carthage system for a while after graduating from Potsdam State, and came back to hometown, NAC system, worked through that system, a few of their different buildings, and ended up in the Morrisonville building. Had an opportunity, Mr. Scott and I, the superintendent, talked a couple of times, and he's an old 6th grade teacher also. He just seemed to hit it off. The warmth of the district just attracted me, and something said, "Go north, young man." So next thing I found myself at the end of the pike, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but darn it, I can't seem to get out of here.
It's an amazing school system. We watched it for a long time.
It's a beauty.
Every system has to find its place in the community and in the North Country, and this one, boy, you talk about school spirit.
Yes.
They start early here, don't they?
You bet. School spirit, climate is powerful here, and it's that way all the time, all day, or we couldn't pull off things like this. People have to have a lot of heart to plan and prepare like that. So I feel fortunate, and I'm very, very pleased to be part of this team. I never knew when I came here how long I'd be here, as I said, but gosh, it's hard to stay away. It really is.
Well, we thank you so much again for having us here, and I'll think about you every time I drink that next cup of coffee, Bernie.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thanks again.
Chris also has, well, maybe she doesn't have a certificate. I better go check with my director. Take care. Thanks.
Calvin, don't touch this cup. We'll try to get you one of your own. If I'd known Eric was going to be here, I would have worn my Clinton Community College jacket and my Clinton Community College hat.
Well, we can use all the support we can get, Good PR wouldn't hurt.
My wife tells me I can't wear that hat anymore doing this program because she can't see my eyes. I said, well, it covers half of my face, so it only does half the job. Maybe I'll wear a long toque the next time. Eric, how you doing?
Good. I'm enjoying
the sign up here and everything.
Yeah, it's a good chance to get out and talk to some of the younger kids and try to give them some ideas about what it is to be a soccer coach and how that relates to what they're doing in the classroom right now. So it's fun. I'm enjoying myself.
I wouldn't even begin to try to embarrass you, Eric, by asking the question that Calvin demanded that I ask about that game with Herkimer. But if you want to comment about it, it's okay with me.
Well, what question did Calvin ask about the game with Herkimer anyway?
He wanted you to beat Herkimer, that's all.
Well, we obviously wanted to beat them too, but they're an extremely talented team, very well disciplined, and it was just a good opportunity for our young kids to get a chance to go down there and see what a top quality nationally ranked team is. I mean, they're 94-0. We thought we could possibly if we got a break or two, squeak out a win. We did go down and play tough and had a good representation of ourselves and the school. And it was a good learning experience for us. So next year, hopefully we'll work a little harder and come back and pick up a few more players in the off season and maybe make a run at them next year. But it's not an embarrassment to lose to a team of that caliber, without a doubt.
Absolutely not. Calvin has covered more soccer games than any living person, maybe a few that aren't even with us anymore. It just goes to show you what a tremendous impression soccer has made on this North Country. When I moved here to work in 1961, soccer wasn't even in the vocabulary. But look at how far it's come.
Yeah, I mean, soccer's huge in this country, and in this area it's really picking up. I mean, the Pee Wee programs, which are, those are the backbone, are really building up the junior varsity and the high school programs and also the college programs. I mean, our roster is 90% local kids, and there's some real quality players that are here, and it's due to the feeder programs that started back in the 70s and 80s that are starting to produce some really nice kids out of the area, and it's big. I mean, the kids get a chance to participate and enjoy it, work together. I mean, there's a lot of positives that they draw from it, without a doubt.
And when it first began to grow up here, people said it'll ruin all the other sports, it'll kill football, it'll kill everything, and all of a sudden soccer had a place of its own, and it was way up there on a pedestal. It must make you very happy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel great about that, and again, it goes back to all the people that I was one of that generation that grew up with it, and it goes back to the people that that started it originally, and I feel great about it. And I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in this area. And the other sports are surviving. I mean, we still have good football programs, good basketball programs, so it's not a question of it was switched from one to the other, but now we all have a place, so it's a good thing for the area, I think.
Let's find out a little bit more about you, Eric, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you ended up at Clinton.
Well, I'm pretty much a local boy. I was born and raised in Willsboro. Did my undergraduate work at SUNY Plattsburgh in elementary education. From there, I'd gone to Springfield College in Massachusetts to go into physical education and sport management as a master's program. From there, I did a little work at SUNY Cortland, did some work in some local schools and other places here and there, jumped around, and then landed at Clinton. And I've been fortunate enough to get an opportunity to build my own programs and and get a lot of on-the-job experience, and you know, I really like Clinton, and it's done well by me so far, without a doubt.
A lot of terrific people up there, not to mention the beauty. What a fabulous place up there on the bluff.
No doubt. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful views of any campus in the country, I think. And it's small, and it's a family atmosphere and close-knit. And for a young coach, it's a great atmosphere. So, you know, I have no qualms about coming to Clinton. It was a great move for me.
It's North Country. Clinton is North Country. They have a wonderful arrangement with SUNY Plattsburgh. As you know, kids can go to Clinton for a couple of years and go and finish their bachelor's program and transfer all their credits. Kids from outside the area can live in the Plattsburgh dorms and go to Clinton. It just kind of fits in, and with all the new technology programs up there, you're part of a real growth organization.
Yeah, you know, Clinton is definitely expanding. You know, we have the new building facility, the science building is being put up. You know, it's great for the community industries in terms of getting qualified people to fill their positions. It's great for the kids that want to go on to you know, four-year schools like SUNY Plattsburgh, SUNY Cortland, and teaching degrees, and you know, hotel, restaurant management, whatever. You know, I think it's a great asset to our North Country community, and you know, we're going larger and larger every day, and you know, it's a great resource for us.
Thanks to their foundation, scholarships are available for kids, needy young people and older people, and a lot of older people go to school at Clinton as well. And in today's, you know, you stack a local community college like Clinton Community College up against some of the private institutions that are going to take about some of them upwards of $25,000 and $30,000 a year to go to school. It's not a bad option.
No, it isn't. I mean, it's an affordable, quality education where you know, the students are a name, they're not a number. There's a lot of one-on-one attention, hands-on learning that you know, really benefits the student. And we have students from a very diverse population, all ages, you know, from all parts of the country and from the local area. And you know, anybody that comes to Clinton for whatever reason is served well, and you know, that's a tribute to the institution and all of those that support it.
And you brought a few photographs along with you too, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to give the kids here an idea of what a college soccer player looks like, and have them identify with our program. So, you know, hopefully, you know, they're young, but you know, you see these faces now, and you'd be surprised at how many of them may come along, and you know, 10 years from now, and end up at Clinton and maybe participate just because, you know, they're familiar and had a name and a face to connect to the institution. So it's a good situation for us.
Eric, do you get a chance to watch many of the younger kids in elementary schools and high schools play soccer these days to find out who your recruits might be?
Well, not as much time as I would like. I mean, I'm teaching full time, and I also run the men's basketball programs, which overlap. I mean, I've been practicing with the basketball team and the soccer team since October 1st. So unfortunately, my schedule doesn't allow me to get out as much as I would like. However, you know, I do a lot of other things. I visit schools in my off time. I send letters, and I get to see as many games as I can. But it's recruiting is a never-ending process, and we do whatever we can with the time that we have available.
We're just going to have to cut down on that sleep time, that's all.
Wow.
Eric, thanks so much for being here today and for all you do for the young people in the North Country.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Here's a guy who's always been one up on Gordy Little, and in the Spectrum page of the Plattsburgh Press Republican on Sunday, still one up on me.
I try to stay on top of you, Gordy.
Great column, Michael.
I enjoy yours too. We're a partnership. I offend them, and Gordy amuses them.
Yes, I do. I do my best to assuage every situation. Why are you here today, Michael?
It's Career Day, and I'm here with Suzanne Moore, one of our reporters, and we're talking about newspaper careers. Of course, people usually think of reporting, but I try to tell the kids we've also got ad sales, and we've got the people that run the press, we've got the artists, we've got all kinds of careers here, and we try and give the kids an idea. Newspaper's really nice because we essentially start with raw materials and retail the final product, so they do get to see a real spectrum of careers there.
Notice how he threw that word in there again? I've always been a newspaper fan. I've been a media fan, I have to confess, long before I ever got in the business. I first read newspapers, then I got interested in radio as a small child, because radio was the electronic medium of that age. And as a matter of fact, later on, when we added, Calvin showed me how to add pictures to the whole thing. Then I came.
You didn't know about that.
I didn't know you could do that.
It's amazing.
But you know, before we turn the cameras on here today, everything reminds me of a story, as Calvin knows. But you said 1945, Empire State Building, B-17, and about a 50-year-old error in the paper. And I was remembering that I lived in Westchester County at the time, and as I've mentioned on this program, my father always had a wonderful sense of history. The minute he heard on the news broadcast on the radio that a B-17 had crashed into the Empire State Building, our whole family jumped in our car and traveled the 18 or 20 miles from Thornwood, New York, to look up at the Empire State Building, and I will never forget that picture in my mind.
And we have just been telling the kids that if you are the kind of curious person that has to know, you might make a good reporter. And I want to tell you, that's exactly the upbringing that creates reporters. And Gordy, you were always the person that had to drive up and look for himself. You've based years of career on insatiable curiosity. And one of the things you have to tell kids is get in line with what your natural inclinations are. Get paid for doing the thing you do anyway. And Gordy, I want to tell you, if you were a mechanic, you'd drop your tools and run every time you heard the fire engines. You might as well get paid to do what you're going to do anyway.
You know, I mentioned that with Bernie, the principal. Passion is such an important part of it all, and if you can really get into what you're doing and enjoy every minute of it, it makes that career so much better.
I think with kids this age, the thing you have to persuade them to do is look into their own souls and find out the thing they enjoy doing. When they come in the Michael Jordan jackets and so forth for Career Day, I try to point out to them that the chances of a pro career are small, but if you're a newspaper writer and a sports writer, you get to go to the games, you get to meet all the athletes, you can have a great time. You can also be a high school coach. There's a lot of way of turning a love of sport into a paycheck. And boy, there's nothing worse than a job you don't like. And I've been around long enough that I've had a couple of those. And boy, I tell you, that makes life last a long, long time.
Michael, the dimensions of your career at the Press Republican are probably a lot broader than many of our viewers realize.
Well, I came there as a business reporter, was there for about 6 years. I'm now starting my 5th year doing educational outreach programs. But before that, I was a freelance writer, and I've made pizzas, and I've sold vacuum cleaners, and I've done a lot of things, and this is fun. I love working with kids. I am a natural storyteller, so I enjoy the writing, and it's been a long trip to find the thing I love most, but boy, I tell you, it's worth it when you arrive. And if I can spare these kids 30 years of flailing around, then I've done something good.
You know, I bet you a lot of our viewers, I'm sure a lot of our viewers outside Clinton County don't know of your passion for music either.
Well, I did pick up the guitar and teach myself to play. That was a mistake. I should have had someone who knew what they were doing teach me. But I do a little bit of amateur music, and it's fun. But that's the sideline. That's the fun stuff on the side. A little bit of salt and pepper.
But all the historic songs that you've learned?
I enjoy that. It's another form of storytelling. Most of the songs, I don't do the songs about how blue the sky was. I do the songs about the ballads, the storytelling songs. That's what I prefer. So I guess it does feed back into the natural storyteller that becomes a reporter.
Michael, thank you for all your contributions.
Well, thank you, Gordy, and thank you for diffusing my column from time to time with your own soft spirits.
I love it.
Very good. Mr. Bassett, Bernie. We're on the air, Gordy.
Well, Calvin, this is kind of a unique opportunity for you.
Well, Sue Wickowitz just came over and wrestled that camera away from me, Gordy, so I'm going to come to this end.
I can't believe it. So what are we going to be doing here? Oh, hi, Barbara, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
This whole day is dedicated to the memory of Bob Venn, right, Bernie?
Yes, it is, Gordy, and we would like to think that we're dedicating our day to Bob, but I think in some ways we're just sort of representing a lot of things that Bob represented and a lot that Bob did in the North Country for schools. We were one of the schools that he did some very special things for, to be there, to represent us, to bring what's happening in schools to the public. And we know community involvement, public involvement is critical to our success with children. And what Bob Venn did with the media and with his time was outstanding. And today we're very pleased and very proud to have his wife and his family along with us so we could recognize that, because gosh, I can't think of a better place to recognize Bob than with what Bob did. So that's what we're here for, and thank you very much for coming. Back behind me, they talk about the folks behind the program. These are the folks that I guess are the program. This is our Career Fair Committee. I don't know if we have them all here, Chris, do we? Have the whole gang? Got a couple that are working today, I guess, right? They're coming up from all corners. But Chris Brudvig, that you've already met, our committee chairperson. Margaret Carter, behind her, is a 5th grade teacher. Lori Martin, who, I'm getting my back in here. I'm not doing this career very well. Johnny Carson had nothing to worry about, right? Margaret Carter's a 5th grade teacher I mentioned. Lori Martin, 2nd grade teacher. Lisa Vanier is a music and gifted and talented teacher. Fran Schutz is a teacher in our title reading program. And Athena Musso, a new kid on the block for us, new hiree this year, who dove right in and joined this powerful committee, also part of our title team.
We also have
Kim Lajway, who's not with us, she's doing some work, a kindergarten teacher. Mania Dubray, who is a custodian in our building, she's back in the corner, also presenting today as a fire person. And Sue Wickowitz, who's got a new career on camera. She's doing the photography. So that's the team behind it all. And
it's a great day.
It sure is. We're excited. This is, like they say with the Clinton County Fair, bigger and better, right? Every year. I have this right hand that always takes care of me. So I put the hand out and she just makes me successful. Mrs. Venn, please come up here. Something that we held very meaningful for us, and it was a special photo. Little did we know then. But this is a picture of Bob and Cal, and I think the photo, the naturalness of what happened, Bob's genuine excitement about being here is expressed with this photo. And on the back it simply says, presented to Mrs. Teresa Venn in special memory of Bob Venn. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And we also have another photo after we do these flowers.
Wow, look at the flowers. That is beautiful.
Bouquet of flowers for Mrs. Brudvig. And the committee and the team and the whole gang. That's right.
Actually, from the committee, you read the card, and it says that it's dedicated in the memory of Bob Venn and for his contributions and for his support of our school.
Oh, thank
Always.
you. He enjoyed coming to the school, enjoyed talking to the children, and this was his life, was with the children. I thank him very, very much.
You're welcome. We have one more photo, and it's the same one that we gave to Mrs. Venn. On the back of this, and it reads, to Calvin Castine, an appreciation for your dedicated coverage at NACS, October 28, 1997. That was a tag team.
Thank you, Bernie.
You're welcome. Thank you, Cal.
The award-winning team.
You bet. You bet. You bet. Absolutely. Wonderful team. And family, I'm sure.
Thank you. It's a wonderful honor, and I'm sure he's smiling down on every one of us and enjoying every minute of it.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
You can feel the warmth, can't you, Calvin? How does it feel to be on this end of the whole thing? What a great picture. I hope everybody got a good look at it.
I'm a little more comfortable at the other end holding the camera.
Yeah, but you must be off balance without that weight on your shoulder, huh?
I'm slanting to one side. And I guess we haven't introduced everybody here. Teresa Ben, Barb Maley, and Neela Ben. And I'm so glad they could come up here today. And I'm very happy that the NAC thought to honor Bob in this way. We've only been here 2 or 3 times, and he made such an impact on people that this is an example of how people everywhere feel about Bob. And I'm glad they did this.
Teresa, your husband honored so many other people over the years. It's nice when it comes back to you a little bit, isn't it?
Well, he enjoyed the children so much, and he enjoyed talking to them and listening to their dreams, and he knew probably most of their grandparents and parents over the years or played ball. He always found a connection one way or the other with the families. And he liked to encourage children to do their best and be kind to their fellow men. That was be nice, be kind, and help everybody. This is what Bob's dream was. This is what he did all his life.
Those aren't bad things to live by, are they, Barbara?
No, it's a very wonderful example of a humanitarian. My father was a wonderful humanitarian. He did for others and thought of himself last. He just enjoyed doing it. It wasn't an effort for my father to go out and be there for people. If you needed anything, they knew they could call on my dad, a committee, any type of organization. My dad was involved, and it's just a great tribute to his life. With all of this wonderful dedications of all these different programs, it just shows how much he was loved, and I think he knew that. I'm sure he knew that. And like I said, he's up there and he's smiling down and enjoying every minute of this.
Your mother talked about connections, and I dare say that many of those connections started with a stick of gum.
Oh, when we were getting ready for the funeral, we had to find a suit to bury him in, and when we found his good suit, we went through the pockets and there were handfuls of gum. And so at the funeral we decided that we would hand everybody on their way out of church. We had 2 huge buckets of gum that everybody helped themselves to from the gum man, and it was a wonderful tribute at the end of a beautiful, beautiful ceremony in honor of my dad.
Bob Venn was Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all those other mythical creatures, and he himself was bigger than life. And this connection he had for young people and middle-aged people and senior citizens and everybody in between is something that the memory that thousands of people whose lives were touched by Bob Venn will cherish.
Well, I know around the holiday seasons, he made many phone calls on Christmas Eve to children playing Santa. He wrote many, many letters to children signing Santa, and it was just every year kids would write and Santa would respond, and it was just wonderful.
At the post office, they would always end up in our mailbox. So
Never mind the North Pole. We knew where the biggest pile of snow was, right in your front yard.
That's right. Yes, and he enjoyed doing this because he knew the families, or he got to know the families. He would call and get questions, so the children really got a true letter from Santa Claus, knowing their little quips and their favorite food and their favorite TV program. So it made their letters from Santa Claus so interesting, and they cherished those.
Very special. Very, very special.
I forgot your first name already.
Neela.
Neela. Where does that name come from?
I'm not sure.
You got it and you're stuck with it.
That's
It's
right.
a wonderful name. You joined this family a few years after these other people did.
Yes.
It must have been quite an impression on your life to meet this guy and see what he did for the North Country.
It's just unbelievable. It's hard to say. He's done so much, and it's just amazing. But it's wonderful.
And a day like today is just such a big kick for me to be a part of it all. I feel like an interloper sneaking in the corner here, but I want some of our viewers to know what's been going on since that terrible day when your dad and husband died. This North Country will not forget. This northern part of Clinton County will not forget, and as a result, quite a few things have been going on his behalf.
They are trying to raise money to build a park, a civic park for the northern community of Rouse's Point and Champlain, and it's going to be in between the two villages, and it will be in my dad's honor. It will be known as the Bob Venn Recreation Center. They plan to have baseball fields, tennis courts, a gazebo, picnic area, one day hopefully a swimming pool, and there are many, many other things going on.
Maybe even a museum.
A museum, but well, of
the
course.
Old Dewey Tavern someday, maybe?
Yes, and we have all of the artifacts in our backyard. We have many buildings of wonderful artifacts from the history of Champlain, the history of Rouse's Point, the history of Clinton County. And he's been collecting these things for years and years, and he has amassed a great collection of very interesting artifacts of our history.
I don't think many of our viewers, once again, are familiar with the extent of that collection. But here's the lady who has. I've been called a pack rat by my wife and everybody who knows me, and my father before me, so I could identify with Bob Venn and his love for collecting things. What an experience to be the other half of that equation.
Well, I never thought it would be my responsibility to sort all this stuff out, but we have done 4 buildings, and we donated them to the park committee. They had a large tag sale and had a wonderful result from it, but we've got 7 more to go next year, or years to come. And we hope to get through that and help the park get started. There's just so many things that Bob just loved and collected and wanted to keep it in the northern tier. And the unique thing about this is the property that they're planning on holding the park is it was really something to Bob, because he used to go there so often because he enjoyed the history of it, the Dewey Tavern and that area, and as a child he used to go there to play. And it's so unique to think that the children will be playing there. His uncle, it was in the family at one time, and his sister said that they remember going and playing in the fields and jumping off the hay mounds, and to think that in the future this is what's going to be brought back. The children will be able to roam this area where Bob used to do.
You know, it's not something we all find pleasant thinking about, how people are going to remember us when we're gone. But it is nice to spend a little time in our lives to think what our legacy might be. And what a legacy this guy has left. And if all of this comes true, and I firmly believe it is because I'm the eternal optimist, this is going to be a tremendous legacy in that park and all the things connected with it for generations to come after we're all dead and gone.
Oh yes, it will be there, and like you said, generation after generation will benefit from this park. And the whole idea of the park is family unification. And my dad believed in family tremendously. He was very proud of every one of us, and we know he was proud of us. He told us how much he was proud of us. My father was very short on words. He could not speak freely of his feelings, but we knew deep down, and he would tell us, but it was very hard for my father to really speak of his feelings. And it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful park for family and the unifications of family, and to get together and just spend an evening, quality time, quality day, just on a one-on-one basis with your family and enjoy the time you have together, because as we know, the time is very, very short, and we lost him very, very early.
He was very much loved during his lifetime, and his memory will be loved and cherished by not only those people who were closest to him, but by other people who have never yet even heard the name of Bob Venn. And that's about as good as the legacy gets. And Calvin, on the other side of the camera, I'm so glad you got your little comeuppance today by having somebody else hold the camera and get him on.
I just have to say one thing. My girlfriend attended the funeral, and when I saw her after the ceremony, she came up to me and she said something to me that really hit hard. And she says, "You know, Barbara, I almost feel I was cheated never having known your father." And I said, "You know, Katie, you really, really were, because once you met Bob Venn, you never forgot him. You never forgot him. And what my dad was known for also was he never bought a greeting card. My father always wrote personal notes of congratulations or occasions, special occasions. If some little boy hit a home run, he would write that boy a personal note, send him the clipping of the paper, and if people would just take the time to do that, just one a day, one a week, send somebody a congratulatory note, and just recognize their accomplishments. And that's what my dad did, and everyone who received a note from my father really appreciated, because they knew it took time. And he took time out of his time to do this special little note that he sent out. And I think we could all learn a lesson from that. I really do.
I believe we can. I know how cherished those little notes have been to me through all my wild careers down through the years. But when somebody takes time to make you a handwritten note, I'm so glad you brought that out, Barbara, because that was so much a part of the man, wasn't it, Teresa?
Yes, he did, and it was surprising how people would call, or you'd meet them on the street and say, "Oh, my son or my husband or my father-in-law," or whoever it was so happy to receive that note from Bob the other day. And of course, I had no idea what they were talking about, because he did this until late into the night, but it meant a lot to the people. And this is why I say he advocated telling the children to love one another and to help each other and be kind to your enemy, be kind to your neighbor, and you just have to grow up with that idea that this is what life is. You get out of life what you put in it.
Maybe, it just dawns on me, maybe he really was Santa Claus.
I think maybe down deep he was.
I'm going to write another letter. Yes, Virginia, Bob Venn was Santa Claus.
That's right. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and his name was Bob Venn.
The man had to have so many genealogies in his brain, how he could remember whose grandfather married whose grandmother, and what kid hit the home run, and what cousin lived in Cherubusco is far beyond me, because that's not a part of my bailiwick. I meet people today and forget their names tomorrow. I love them, but it's hard for me to remember who they are. But that was so much a part of the program that he did 500 episodes with, and that's why it's such a pleasure for me to carry on just a little tiny bit of that tradition. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you very much for having us, and we
sharing
appreciate
these moments with us.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Ellingburg School District for doing this in Bob's honor. It was such a, I can't explain how I felt after I got the phone call, that to think that Ellingburg, the children way out in this area, remembered Bob from coming. It was really a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I really want to thank you.
None of us will ever forget.
Thank you.
You notice that the energy level was built back up to 121% in this hometown cable program, Our Little Corner. That's because we've been edified in so many ways. The latest having been a delicious lunch downstairs, replete with a nice little speech by the principal, who complimented the tremendous group that put this day together. What a tremendous career day this is at Northern Adirondack Central School. We already interviewed Mike Peterson just a short time ago in our program, about 30 minutes ago, in real time, if you will. But we've wanted to talk to Suzanne Moore for such a long time, and this is a first, Suzanne.
This is a first, and I'm proud, Gordy. My first interview by you.
What a good friend you've been for so many years. I've admired your writing, but most of all, I've so much admired your compassion for people and for animals and your tremendous curiosity for the world around you. I think we've been on the same wavelength for years, don't you?
I think so, Gordy, but don't make me blush any more than this, or I'll leave the camera.
Blushing is good, and I'm so glad to have pictures connected with the voice to show that to everybody. You and I had connections on the radio, and you would, every now and again, you'd have an animal that would stray.
That's right. That's right. Found my cat. A lady almost went off the road when she heard my cat was missing on the radio because she had it.
And you and I had such a good mutual friend in Ron Longtoe for so many years.
Mm-hmm. Who all the North Country viewers will remember as the editor of the North Countryman for several years. Yeah.
And
Mutual interest in old music, huh?
Oh, you got that right. And in all kinds of music. I often wonder whatever happened to his library of old music.
I have no idea. No idea.
We got to see his sisters during his funeral and so on, and after that was the end. I haven't heard another word, so I don't know.
I'll check into that. I'm going to be seeing a relative in a couple days of his.
We're very interested in what happens to all the wonderful historical items that Bob Venn had, and this career day is dedicated to his memory. And now we think about Ron Longtoe, who exchanged old-time music with me for years and years, and between us we made some pretty fun presentations on Sunday mornings on that radio station. How long have you worked for the Press Republican?
Since last March. I freelanced for them before that for a little while, but I came on board officially in March 96, 97. Where are we?
Boy, it's hard to remember from year to year. I thought that was a product of getting old, but you're so young you shouldn't be fighting that affliction at your tender age. But I know you enjoy writing. It's an amazing way to express yourself. It's kind of different from me. I enjoy doing my column for the Press Republican, but your style of writing is something I could never hope to match. Did it come naturally, or is it a product of many years of hard work?
20 years of practice. I wrote for a lot of little publications and wrote for a lot of things on my own. Got a lot of stuff rejected from magazines and a few sales, and didn't know when to quit, I guess. It's worked out pretty well.
Now, let's get a little background, Suzanne. Where did you go to school and where were you brought up?
I'm from Shazy. My dad, Ron Brown, was postmaster until he retired a few years ago. My mother is Dee Dee, works at the school in the guidance office. I went to Shazy Central, and I was self-taught from there.
No kidding. That's hard to believe. You would expect at least a master's degree in journalism to get you where you are today.
You got a master's degree in Blarney, I think.
But what I was about to say is that there is a lot to be said about the School of Hard Knocks, isn't there?
There is. I've done it all wrong. You know, you make mistakes and you figure out where to go next, and gradually, hopefully, learn to do a good job.
You know, at one point in the history of journalism and in writing various kinds of things, including novels, not too many variations in style were permitted, although there have always been mavericks, and those mavericks have managed to make a way for themselves. But today, I think, audiences are tolerant of all kinds of means of expression, especially in your business. Everybody's got a different style, and yours is yours to wear like a badge, isn't it? Huh?
People say they know I've written it whether they see my name or not. I don't know that that's that good.
I think I could tell, because I'm such a large fan of the way you write. And I think the way you express yourself is only a product of what goes on in your soul. And I think you've accomplished a great deal if you can get those innermost feelings, those deepest feelings, and express them in a way. You know, language is such an inadequate tool when you stop to think about it. But if you can get a few of the right words down there so people can understand how you feel about something, then you've shown them your perspective, and what else could you hope to accomplish in life?
I guess. You said it just fine, Gordy. I write a little better than I speak.
So what kinds of assignments do you get these days? Do you pick your own, or how does this work?
Well, certain communities are mine to cover. There's too many to mention here. And so we try to hit the highlights of the news, the town board activities, and newsworthy items, but I was basically hired as a feature writer, and that's what I enjoy doing best. And there are always more interesting people out there to talk with, because really this is an amazing place to live, and it's only that way because of all the great people who are here. And if I can interview them all over the years, I'll be delighted.
You know, it's amazing how busy a place the Press Republican is. I got an opportunity to see what the hubbub about once a week when I drop off my little column, but it's growing all the time. Sometimes it's downright frenetic in there, isn't it?
It is, but you know, it's I expected to go there and feel extremely pressured, but it's a really great place to work. It's really a little family, and I kept waiting for that to change, for the honeymoon to be over, and it hasn't. It's just the way they are. It's like the haunted house at City Hall over the weekend. That was a real collaborative effort of the people in the whole establishment, and it was great. The newsroom people got to meet people in other departments whom we hadn't met before, and it was really, really something.
You know, that's something that deserves mentioning. Calvin has been so busy covering sporting events in the North Country, and our weekends have been consumed with other things, but I did manage to get into downtown Plattsburgh about a week before Halloween. Goodness knows precisely when this program will be aired on television.
That's Halloween '97.
Yeah, but Halloween '97 for sure, and the Press Republican had a large role in an event that you might say, without fear of contradiction, took downtown Plattsburgh by storm. I had the pleasure of joining Mayor Clyde Rabineau and his wife Marianne and a few other very good friends of mine in judging what we thought would be a little munchkin parade with about 15 or 20 kids, which turned out to be in the hundreds, I'm sure, because I couldn't see from one end of the parade to the next. But you know, it's great to see downtown Plattsburgh blossoming like that and people getting together. Wasn't that an incredible time?
It was. You know, the publisher at the Press, Brenda Tallman, said that she didn't grow up here, but she's heard stories from people who were from here about things in downtown that happened 20, 30 years ago when it was just such an exciting place to be. That's where everybody wanted to go. And she wanted to try to revive that somewhat, and that's one of the reasons she decided that we should do this haunted house, take the Press's private Halloween party and make it public. And my gosh, we had kids lined around the block for 4 solid hours waiting to get into the haunted house. It was something
Somebody
else.
said to me, Gordy, you ought to go through the haunted house. It's wonderful. And I looked and I saw at least an hour and a half wait. And I had another appointment 15 minutes down the road, so that all didn't mesh together. But did you work on the inside?
I was a scarecrow, and I worked everywhere.
I love it.
I was in and out, and we were trying to play games on the lawn with the kids to keep them busy because the wait was so long. But it was worth it. It was Bucky Baker and Reggie Bellry from maintenance at the Press built this thing, panel by panel, having no idea, you know, only in their minds knowing what it would look like when it was put together. And once it was just the neatest thing, and non-threatening haunted house for kids as opposed to the gory kind that older kids enjoy. But parents were really happy to have a place to bring the little ones. So,
and it was obviously a tremendous collaborative effort between all the groups involved and the downtown folks and from the mayor's office and the downtown association.
The farmers market area was, I don't know, because I was dancing
busy.
around City Hall, but I heard that things went really well down there with all sorts of activities, and then the parade and the costume judging, and there was Halloween pumpkin judging and everything else, and a whole bunch of people really came together with a nice effort. It was a really fun day.
It is reminiscent of the old days, and we talk a lot about decentralization of cities large and small, but we're coming around, the circle's coming around, and downtown Plattsburgh is growing in that respect, and it's a great pleasure because, yes, Virginia, I've been around here long enough to remember the days of City Recreation Director, the late Peter Blumette, and Halloween parades that took place on Halloween night in the darkness of night, which were eventually disbanded, not because it wasn't fun for the kids, but because some of the older pranksters started throwing eggs and things onto the paraders. So that's why I was so glad they had this kind of a little parade in the daytime. And some of the ingenuity involved in those costumes was
my gosh,
incredible.
The kids were, but the little tiny ones were so, they wanted to make sure you knew they really weren't that scary creature, that Dracula or that witch. Everyone, I would say, oh, you're a witch. Oh, but not a real one. They were trying to reassure me because they were really nice kids and they were having a great time. Some of them, oh my gosh, the time parents must have put into sewing some of those costumes.
You just transported me back to my pew in St. Alexander's Church in Morrisonville last weekend when our priest talked about Halloween and masks and how people are two things, what they are and what we perceive them to be. And he used as an example the little child who turns around and there's a witch. And the child looks up immediately to this person who spent probably 2 hours putting a costume on and says, "Oh, hi, Grandma."
There's one little one going through the haunted house. Her father was carrying her, and she went past the witch, and the witch said, "How are you today?" And she said, "I'm a little nervous." I wish I had a tape recorder the whole day. It's worth the effort just to interact with these little kids, just like it is today, to talk to the kids at the career fair.
If you can inspire one youngster to do something, or maybe direct them at least toward reading, even if they don't get into a field of journalism as you've chosen, one of my great crosses to bear in life is to try to convince young people and older people to read.
That's
and
for sure.
I think you've done that certainly here today.
Oh, we try. I've asked them if they enjoy reading, and a lot of hands go up. And then I ask how many read under the covers with a flashlight at night, because I know those are the ones that are headed toward journalism or some such career, and they do that too. I won't name any names, but they do. They seem to be enjoying reading, and that's priceless. You can't encourage a kid to do anything more than that.
Yeah, we talked with Mike a while ago as part of this program, and he expressed a tremendous curiosity. And I think if we can instill in kids curiosity for the world around them, past, present, and future, I think we've accomplished something too.
That's for sure. I agree, Gordy.
You have to be a curious person. You got to want to know.
The kids, nosy. You have to be nosy.
Nosy is the word. That's precisely right. Suzanne, thanks for your great contribution to the North Country.
Thank you for yours, Gordy.
Have you still got that little kitty cat?
We do have that kitty cat. That lady had given that cat to a farmer because she thought she brought it home because she thought it was hers. She had a black cat just like it. And then she realized she had two. So she dropped it off at a farm, was driving to work, and heard me on the radio saying my cat was missing. She whipped right around, went into the barn, yelled the cat's name, and the cat came running, running, and she brought it home. So, yeah, that was great.
Suzanne Moore, a soft spot in her heart for all manner of creatures. Don't change.
Don't you change either, Gordy. He's waiting to see what I was going to say to him.
I wish I had a copy of the brand new $50 bill that's recently been circulated for every time I've mentioned the name Rick Bruce in my lifetime. He's the only guy in the world that more people know than Gordy Little. Rick, how you doing, my friend?
Good, and yourself? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, and the reason I've mentioned your name so many times is because you've done so much as a conservation educator up there at Point of Rush. How long have you been up there?
I've been there 12 years. It'll be 13 in May. So I really enjoy it. I love it. It's a great position. Wouldn't trade it with anybody.
So many different things go on up there, and I'm sure many of our viewers have not taken advantage of them, but they should.
Oh, yeah.
Give us, now you're talking to kids about careers and telling them what you've done for a living. I know you love what you do.
Oh, so true. We, in the spring and in the fall, we do a lot with the nature walks and the programs on site at Point of Rush, the field trips from the schools. And then in the winter time, and this year we're starting earlier with our in-school programs. So we go around and do programs on mammals and predators and prey, birds of prey, winter birds and winter bird feeding and forest life and snowshoeing and astronomy. It's just great. I really enjoy it. So,
as I said before, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are not familiar with that great facility up there at Point of Rush. Explain for them right now what you've got up there.
Well, we have right now there's the picnic area, which has the picnic tables and the grills, and then there's a bathhouse, concession stand. There's a pavilion. There's a bike path which is paved. It's about 3/4 of a mile long, and then the beach, obviously, that's connected with the bathhouse and so forth. And we have about 12.5 miles of trails that are used for hiking and bicycling, and it's just really great. And then in the wintertime, about 12 of the 12.5 miles of trails are used for cross-country skiing. About half a mile on Middle Point is closed because of it's so close to the edge of the cliffs and the trails are so narrow. And so it's a great facility. I mean, there's so many different habitats and ecosystems and it's such a variety in close proximity to the nature center, which is also there. It's a small building now. There's hopes in the future that we might have a new facility, but for right now we're making do with what we have. It houses some taxidermic mounts. We try to rotate the exhibits on a seasonal basis, and our strong point, I think, is the field. We do a lot of field work, and getting the kids out and doing hands-on activities, and it's really enjoyable. I forgot to mention, in the summertime, we're busy. We do programs every day, as you know, from the early July until Labor Day, and programs going on all hours of the day, throughout the day. And it's 7 days a week, and it's enjoyable. So.
And it's made for the public.
Exactly. That's the nice thing. It's a very family-oriented, atmosphere, and it's very. It's just. I mean, I just think it's great. It's like the gem, of the North Country, I think.
Well, I didn't ask you this, but I have before. How did you get interested in this field, Rick?
I always enjoyed the outdoors, and. I love teaching, and I like to share the knowledge that I have. And I think that the other thing is, it's like I tell the kids today. I mean, there's never a day that goes by where you can't learn something, no matter how old you are. And I think with teaching about natural history, there are so many new things, and you're learning each day about these things. And I like working with people of all ages, from the little, the young kids to the adults. And it's just great. And as I said, I've always been interested in the outdoors, so it was sort of a norm. And when I was growing up, I saw different situations like this, at the conservation field days when I was in 6th grade at Peru, and I said, this is really neat to be able to teach and share knowledge about the outdoors. So that was, I think, one of the big things. And I was always interested in science, and we did at Peru. I had 2 teachers that were very influential in teaching about the outdoors, and we had programs at Twin Valleys we went to one time, and then at Marcy Dam, and it was just great. I mean, I think that was a big influence on me choosing this career field.
So you're able to impart some of this knowledge to the little kids? What are you showing them when they come here today?
Well, today I brought with me some birds of prey.
Just sneak around this
side.
Okay.
Over here, this is an American kestrel. This is the male American kestrel, and you can tell it's a male because of the bluish-gray wing linings. Really common here in the North Country, especially up on your telephone wires and telephone poles. You'll often see them hovering. Once they see movement in the grass, they'll hover over to where they last saw the movement once they were perched on the telephone pole, and they'll hover there, and then when they see the movement again, they'll come down and capture their prey on the ground. They're the only falcon. They're part of the falcon family. They're the only falcon that will capture its prey on the ground. Then here, this is a red-tailed hawk. It's a mature red-tail, and we can tell it's a mature red-tail because of the red tail. The immature birds don't have the red tail. And one of our most common hawks here in the North Country, part of the Buteo group of hawks, and you often see these hawks soaring, riding the thermals way up high in the sky. The next one, this is a screech owl. This is the red phase or the rufous phase of the screech owl, and this is full grown. It doesn't get any bigger than this. And it gets named the red phase or the rufous phase because of the reddish color feathers. There's also a gray phase. The feathers are gray on that, the gray phase, and has nothing to do with whether they're male or female, where you find them. or how old they are. It's just like we have different color eyes, different color hair. It has to do with the genetic makeup of their body. The next one, this is a short-eared owl. It gets named short-eared owl. If you look closely, you can see the ear tufts, not as pronounced on the great horned owl, but they are there. And then, like I tell the kids, it looks like somebody gave them two black eyes. Not really common in Clinton County, but if you are lucky enough to see one, you know, you see them around farms and open fields and meadows and so forth. The next one, this is a barred owl, and the barred owl, common in our deciduous forests, sort of secretive, but like I tell the kids, usually they're going to hear it before they see it. The hooting call sounds like they're saying, who cooks for you, who cooks for you all. And that's, again, what I tell them, once you hear it, you'll never forget it. The next one is a snowy owl, and this is a young female snowy owl. Usually your snowy owls, the females are usually larger than the males, larger and darker, and the males are usually smaller and whiter. Snowy owls, we usually only see them once every 8 years in great numbers. You will see an occasional straggler, and the reason you see them only once every 8 years is because of they're usually found up in northern Canada, where their main food source, the lemming, is very abundant. And once every 8 years, the lemming population drops. You've probably seen the pictures of them and the videos of them running over the edges of cliffs. And scientists are still trying to figure out why that's so. And this is the big cause for the population drop. So this forces them to migrate down in our area. And when they're down here, they're feeding on, you know, things like mice and cottontail rabbits, snowshoe hares, and other small rodents. And also, when they're down here, you usually aren't going to see them in trees. Again, there aren't too many trees up in northern Canada, so you're going to usually see them on the ground, on a fence post, or on the peak of a roof. The next one is a great horned owl. The great horned owl is probably the most common owl in our area. The reason it's so common is because it can live in so many different types of habitats, because it eats so many different things. Cottontail rabbits, snowshoe hares, chipmunks, frogs, snakes, lizards, even though, I mean, no lizards here, but I mean, it's just a different, you know, such a variety and such a variety of a food source that this enables it to live in so many different habitats. The next thing we brought is this is the beaver pelt. You can see the beaver chips in front of the beaver skull, and then if you look closely at the teeth, as we show the kids, this is the teeth that they use for cutting down the trees, and the chips are a result of the beaver cutting down the trees, working on the trees that they use for building their dams, their lodges, and those front teeth, as I tell the children, they have to use them all the time, because if they don't, the teeth can grow too long. It could puncture the skin of the lower jaw. They could bleed to death, or it could seal the jaw shut tight, and they could die of starvation. And then also the beaver pelt, I always show them the 2 layers of fur. There's the long, bristly guard hairs, and there's the short, thick underfur that made it very soft to the touch, and this is what made it so attractive for the beaver pelt hats that were made back in Europe when the early explorers sent the pelts back to Europe. This is a river otter. You can see how long the tail is. This is a normal size river otter, quite long. The pelt is very beautiful. It has very beautiful fur, very shiny, very soft, and the skull of the river otter. Next, we have the bobcat with a skull, and then you can see the short bob tail. It gives the name bobcat. You can see how the different colors of fur give them excellent camouflage, allow them to blend in. And then we have a red fox, beautiful orangish red color fur, and the white underneath the neck. This is a fox skull. And then for the pelts, this is a coyote, eastern coyote. And again, the big bushy tail, the many different colors of fur give them good camouflage. And this is a trapper's tag that they use to identify their pelts. And then here we have a bear skull. and a white-tailed deer skull, the bear skull, black bear obviously, and the white-tailed deer skull. I also brought a couple posters with me. This allows the children to see what the mammals look like, in real life, so they can relate from the pelts and the skulls to the real-life animals.
In years past, I'm sure that most people, at least in rural areas, had a much closer connection with the animals around them. Today, sometimes we have to reintroduce the kids to what's happening out there.
I think that's very true, and I think that's really important. I think that you really need to start at a young age, and I go into the schools. We work with children from right at the preschool age, and I mean they just eat it up, and it's great to see the smiles on their faces, and I mean the interest that they have, and I think it's imperative that we start at a young age to inform them of the importance of their environment and their surroundings.
Rick, thanks so much for your contribution to the kids of the North Country, and we adults too.
My pleasure. Always enjoy it.
Not that the rest of this day hasn't been an awful lot of fun, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty stuff called line dancing here during Career Day activities at the Northern Adirondack Central School. We started out in the big gym that was beautifully redecorated after a tragic fire of some time back, and now we're in the small gym or the little gym. And Calvin and I, as we walked in here, wondered how line dancing could fit in with careers, and it was very skillfully explained to the youngsters here that you can make a whole career out of writing line dances, publishing them, taking pictures, putting them in magazines, or even doing videotapes to explain to people how to do line dancing. It's a phenomenon which promotes communications and exercise. And we have about 20 youngsters here with a few people demonstrating line dancing, and give them the whole idea. It reminds me of the old Grange Hall in Malone from many, many years ago when we learned to square dance. The word line dancing hadn't been invented, and if it hadn't been for a little show we were in, sponsored by the Council on the Arts a few years ago in Plattsburgh, I never would have learned that world-famous Macarena. So let's listen and watch the kids for a minute.
Right, back, left, back. Are they comfortable with that? Anybody need to do it one more time? Just once more before. Get ready with your right now. 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, left, right, left.
Well, it's come time to wrap up our program. Hard to believe that we've been at the Northern Adirondack Central School since early morning, but this NAC Elementary Career Fair, promoting the celebration of career awareness with the theme Follow Your Dreams, has certainly been a good one, dedicated to the memory of Bob Venn. We began who knows where and ended up with a fine lunch, and then we're having a line dance demonstration here just before it's time to go. It's been an extreme pleasure for me to be involved in this segment of our little corner, as it is for the youngsters who've learned a great deal today. Life in general is a wonderful opportunity for me to learn new things every day and to meet many new people. I want to thank everybody for getting involved. Come on over here, Mr. Bassett. Very nice speech at lunchtime, by the way. Too bad we didn't get that on tape, but it was certainly a deserved one for your committee that organized this day. What a day it's been.
You bet. I don't know, really what to do to let them know how much we appreciate it, to pay a little attention to their efforts, because I hope, as you were able to see today, indeed it is a grand undertaking for a group of volunteers working full-time to pull together, and I'm real proud of them, real proud of the whole faculty and all the contributors.
Most importantly, I think we've made an impression on a lot of young lives, and that's the name of the game.
You bet, you bet. I think you're right, and I see some senior lives out here doing some dancing with us right now. Is that great or what? It's nice to bring them all together.
It's terrific. Again, Bernie, thanks so much for letting us come down here today and for dedicating this day to the memory of Bob Venn. That was a very nice ceremony as well.
You bet. That was important to us, and thank you, Gordy and Cal, as always. We look forward to seeing you for number 6.
We'll be here, that's
right.
for sure. I wanted to take the camera and let Calvin go out there and try this shuffle back right around and stop, but we didn't want to have to dial 911. And the same would have been true if I had tried it myself. Thank you all for joining us today. Who knows where we're going to be next time on Our Little Corner.